Hello and welcome to the Client Blue podcast post-match reaction. I'm your host for this one, Dan Rolinson, joined by whose winning streak is over, Matt Lynch, joins us on the podcast this evening. Every other podcast he's done in the last, I don't know, however long, 6 months or so, Villa have always won. Now, I don't know whether that's us getting Matt on for the easier games or whether he has got the Midas touch, but that comes to an end today with Aston Villa losing to Liverpool at Anfield. But some positives which we'll get through. But ultimately, another defeat, the fourth in a row in all competitions. The first time that's happened under Unai Emery at Aston Villa. Before we get into it, Matt, how's things? How are you?
Yeah, well, good, thank you. And I actually feel better. I feel a lot better at the end of this week than I did perhaps after, what was it, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I feel a lot better about things despite that fourth defeat, as you say. But yeah, otherwise, all good.
Yeah, I'm going to try my best to not get too distracted by the comments. So I might actually close the tab in a second. I'm really appreciative that we do these live and people actually sit here and watch us and want to hear what we say and get involved in the comments. But the first one that's come through as we started is the season is over. And I just can't have that. But I've played, 10 games, 11 games in the Premier League. The season felt over when Steven Gerrard had played this many games and we went on to finish 7th that year. It's a very long season. There's still lots of points to play for. We can't dress it up that if Newcastle win tomorrow and so do Spurs or Monday, whenever they play, Villa will be 10th going into the international break. And that doesn't look great. That's not where any of us thought we'd be. It is very tight. It's very competitive in the Premier League. Brighton are doing much better than many anticipated. Same with Nottingham Forest. I think nobody would have had them in the top 4 at this stage of the season. But still a long, long way to go to say the season is over, whoever that was. If that's how you feel, fine, fair enough, but I cannot agree. So I'm going to do my best not to get distracted because this podcast will be all over the place. There is concerns, though, isn't the matter? It doesn't look good. Some of that game was okay. We played well in parts. It wasn't a disaster. There was a lot of comments on our preview. Me and John predicted 1-1 to be as positive as we can, and we weren't a million miles away, I suppose. But we had a lot of responses like, "You two are talking rubbish. It's going to be a hammering. We're going to lose 4-5, 5-0." I never felt that was going to be the case, and certainly throughout the game, I thought we started well, and it looked like we might go on to get something potentially.
Yeah, I appreciate the optics don't look good, but I think there's a few doommongers around there at the moment for no apparent reason. I appreciate it's after the Bruges game, and I was one of those, but tonight I thought we were very good. There's a way performances go. I don't think you can ask for much more. The only thing you can ask for much more of is just better when it comes to just the basics, and it's the basics that's let us down tonight. I thought that we were very good, though, and I think we had the better of the ball at times, especially in the second half. And I don't necessarily buy into this idea that we're in any sort of trouble or that it's going to be a write-off of the season. Absolutely not. I think there's so much more football to be played. I mean, Liverpool are now 5 points clear. Liverpool are arguably the only team with any consistency really in the league at the moment. Forest, of course, as well. But realistically, Liverpool have been very good at home this season. They lost to Forest at home earlier in the season, and Forest are up there at the moment the way they played. So I thought we had a really good performance, and we didn't embarrass ourselves by any stretch of the imagination. And another day with a different referee, that's a totally different scoreline, I have to say. I think it's that finer margins when it comes to it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd say we were very good, as you have. I thought we were all right in most parts. It maybe is a little bit defeatist to kind of be... I'm not happy that we've lost 2-0, but I absolutely get the sense that people feared the worst. And as I said, people were kind of calling for batterings, hammerings of 4, 5, 6-0. And I never felt that was going to be the case. But the fact that it hasn't materialised to be that and it's only 2-0 is, it isn't the end of the world. We said before the game, I'm not going to lose my head if we lose to Liverpool. Pretty much every team in the Premier League could go to Anfield and lose the game, and it's not going to blow up their season. Obviously, there's context that comes with that. If Villa are really, really poor, that would have been concerning for me, given the week that we've had with the second half of Palace and the Bruges game. But we were definitely better than those 2 games today in terms of performance. And referee, not good at all. The standard of consistency with shirt pulling, for one. Sometimes it's a foul, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's a yellow card, sometimes it's not a penalty. That's all over the place. I think that Pau Torres one has every right to be a potential penalty, and if we get that and we score, potentially the game is different. And I appreciate there's a lot of ifs and a lot of potentially this, potentially that, but we weren't humiliated. It wasn't 3-0 at half time. It wasn't that Villa were totally outclassed, and maybe Liverpool didn't get out of first gear or second gear or whatever, and that's just one of those things. Maybe if we had a third, they'd have gone up another level, but that wasn't that case. That didn't happen. So I'm not pleased that we've lost 2-0, but I absolutely get the sense it could have been worse, and the fact that it wasn't, I can take some encouragement from that some parts of our game looked improved. And I think if we play like that against lesser teams, we probably do get something. So I'm absolutely not calling for, I don't know, the season to be over, or, oh, that's it, we're going to finish 8th now, that's the end of that. I just don't see that at all.
No, I don't either. I think that the way we approached the game is right. We were never going to go there and dominate the ball.
Agreed,
I mean, you'd be deluded to suggest the idea you're going to go to Anfield and dominate the ball. I mean, Real Madrid are going to turn up in a few weeks' time, and they're not going to try and dominate the ball at Anfield. It just doesn't happen. The idea that you can do that is just nonsensical. And yeah, you might say obviously Liverpool didn't get a second gear when it came to their performance, but we gave them enough whereby we should have had more chances on goal than we did. I think our end product has been poor of late anyway.
Yeah.
Set pieces, we've been terrible recently. I know we do very well in terms of scoring from them, but we waste a hell of a lot of set pieces as well. And I think that Emery's approach to the game anyway cost us in terms of that first goal, just because of how many men we put forwards, and there's nobody really back to have that cover, and it left us very open. But in the same breath as that, that's how you win games in football as well. You don't win games by sitting back and then not putting anyone forwards for a corner. I mean, nobody wants to see that either. I'd rather see us go there and put in a performance like that where we've had the chances, and if the rub of the green would have happened, it would have been a different result. I'd rather see that and us lose 2-0 than us go there and sit deep and part of the bus and still lose 2-0, because it's inevitably what may happen. I mean, yeah, the optics, obviously, as I said before, did not look good, but did Liverpool get a second gear? Possibly not, but in the same breath as that, I'd argue that we were not our free-flowing best. I think that JJ was having a very good first half. I'm sure we'll come on to that briefly in a second, but JJ was having a very good first half, and he was the one that was on the transition, making a lot of things happen for us, and seemed to have sussed Liverpool press out pretty well. So to lose him when we did wasn't ideal, to say the least. And I think the goal came at a sucker punch time as well, because we were starting to take control a bit more of the game, and all these factors join up together, and you go, okay, on a different day, it'd be a different story. And I hate the word perspective overall, because it's so easy to say, oh, look where we've come, how far we've come. But I think perspective's needed tonight, just because there's no panic stations for me what turned up tonight. Far from it.
Yeah, I mean, the live comments suggest that we're massively off it, apparently. So, we'll take that as it is. I'm not going to change my opinion. And now, people in the comments are saying, oh, we didn't defend very well, and we didn't create anything going forward. How did we play well? Well, I thought we played well in moments. Don't get me wrong. Our final ball and our final decision making at times is not right. The quality is not there, and that is largely the difference between the two sides. Nunes took his goal brilliantly, despite what I thought was a poor first touch, and Salah scores the goal. I was texting you during the game going, actually, no, a decent up period here. Like, we're playing okay. And oh no, Salah scored. Like, just like that, the quality is why they're an elite side, and we're not quite that just yet. There was moments where that first one in the first half from Ramsey, where we played out from the back well, and I think it was Watkins with the dummy run opened up a bit of space for Ramsey, who got a shot off, which should have probably done a little bit better with. And Rodgers had a chance as well when he went through, and probably doesn't even hit the target, does he? And you text me and said he should have scored. He should definitely have hit the target. And those are just two instances where things could have been slightly better. The Torres penalty, or the non-penalty, do you think that was one?
It's a stone wall. I think my issue I take with it is about 5 minutes later, I can't remember, Kamara got booked for a shirt pull about 10 minutes later, and about 5 minutes after the actual incident, one of our other lads had pulled a player back, and Liverpool got a free kick. And I think, ironically as well, amongst all the Liverpool players, it was Diaz had pulled Conser down as well with his shirt. So you've had three instances there in the space of 10 minutes after the penalty that were all given as fouls, yet that incident there, it's not even been. I mean, VAR looked at it, but it was literally a split second. It was like, yeah, move on, nothing to see.
Not one replay. It's like, oh, they've checked that. It's like, oh,
nothing to see. It was the Torres one was a pen. There's no doubt that. I mean, where the ball is, Torres is reaching that ball before Conor Bradley reaches that ball. The one in the first half with Ollie and Kanate, I'm not inclined to say that was. I mean, you've seen them given, but I'm not going to sit here and go, "Oh, that's a stone wall. We've mistake there." But
Sorry, just to
Torres
interrupt
one,
quickly on that Watkins one.
yeah,
What was given? Because
I don't know.
he didn't
I'm
give a
really
dive.
not
He
sure.
didn't book
I
him.
don't think David Coote knew either with the expression he gave, because if he thinks Watkins has dived, then he's got to give a yellow card.
Yeah,
I think what's actually happened there is that Coote's blown the whistle because he thinks Watkins has dived. He's then realised actually, no, he's not dived, but it's not a penalty. So he's got no choice but to follow through with it and give Liverpool the free kick at that point. So
yeah.
I think in that instance there, he's realised he think he's blown his whistle too early, to be honest. And you could say he's obviously not blown his whistle enough tonight. But yeah, it's frustrating. But I look at it and go, these things do even out over the course of the season, where we win a game 1-0 because of a penalty decision like that. But tonight
Yeah.
it's one of them where we don't.
Yeah, I think what you said is pretty spot on. To be honest, I think the way we set up, and obviously, there's been a lot of talk about team selection and trying to work out what our best team is. To go there and try and absorb pressure and have fleeting moments where we may have a chance, and you might make, I don't know, 2 or 3 good quality chances against Liverpool away. You've got to score at least one of them to have any chance of getting anything from the game. So to score none, you're never going to get a 0-0 at Anfield. And it is those kind of fleeting moments that we relied upon, and that's not good. Again, the optics of it, just relying on a little moment here and there feels very Steven Gerrard, and that's you want better than that. But Villa work themselves into good positions occasionally, but the final ball or the final finish just isn't quite there at the moment. The front three, in whatever makeup that is, doesn't quite look like it's gelling, despite Watkins' hard work running the channels or whatever. It's just not quite working at the moment. But again, to me, that is not cause for a huge meltdown of Emery needs to go in the comments tonight. I mean, come on. Like, there's no way that these are Villa fans that are watching and having that opinion. I would get rid of the entire squad before I decide to get rid of Unai Emery if we feel like things aren't working. Come on. This is why I'm trying to get distracted, because come on, nobody thinks Emery needs to go, surely. Christ almighty. It's a game of set pieces. Like we said, Villa are playing for those moments, it feels like, and the 2 that Kelleher saved in quick succession from Onana's header, and then I can't remember the second one, but they came together. They were good chances. Easily, they could have gone in as goals, and we're talking about a very different game. So we're talking about Villa aren't good enough. Villa haven't made any chances. Villa haven't had any moments in that game. Yes, we absolutely did, but they just didn't fall our way. The other 2 set pieces I'm talking about are the ones that Liverpool have broken on us for the counter for the first goal, and then shortly after did exactly the same as well. You've got to question that there's got to be something intentional there, that Villa are committing so many men forward, that they're trying to do something. What that is, I don't know. I don't know what we'd be trying there, to not drop a man back, or 2 or 3. Certainly for the second occasion of it, after you've just conceded, to do the same thing again and get away with it. Again, it's just one of those things. Villa shouldn't be conceding the goal from their own corner. That shouldn't happen. But
Shouldn't.
Liverpool break with pace, with high quality players, and score a goal. Like, at some stage, you have to hold your hands up and say there isn't really much you can do about that. If you're going to commit the men forward, you've already done it, haven't you? Once Salah and Nunes are running at you, what are you supposed to do in that situation? Bailey tried to take him out.
I would say as well, amongst that, is the fact that I probably only name what 2 other players in the league that could be capable of what Salah's done on that counter attack anyway. Probably you'd argue Grealish could do that to you on the counter of that position, and I'd struggle to probably name another one off the top of my head at this moment in time that could do that to you. But that's just what happened, and it's hard lines. I mean, people have said this week about Morgan Rogers should have been in the England senior squad, but I think case in point is why Morgan Rogers is that chance just after half time that he had. That's I hate the term XG and what it stands for at times, because I don't think you get a full perspective of it. But surely, as an XG chance go, that's a surefire. He's got to be
should be
taken.
hitting the target.
He should be at least testing the keeper, but he didn't at that scenario. And if we scored that is a totally different second half at that point there. But it comes back to the end product that's lacking. At the corners, I'm not sure what we're playing at the moment with this first man stuff. Low and hard balls in doesn't quite fit in with stuff that's come before. I think the idea, I think Dean's delivery has been very good, don't get me wrong, at times this season, but the idea that we're having to put Digne on that set piece is troublesome for me just because historically your fullbacks are the guys that are standing near the halfway line or within that area of the pitch to provide cover and cover ground quickly when they need to. It shouldn't be left up to Bailey to be the one that's that man back.
Yeah.
That's not how it should pan out, but that's end product suggests that perhaps a decision that's been made. By any means, I'm not going to give any slight to Austin McPhee because he's been excellent. He's a revelation, but sometimes you have to look at it and go, something is amiss. But Emery sticks to his principles. He does, don't get me wrong, he does tweak things. He does make changes in game. And I thought his substitution was very proactive today, by the way. But I think equal as well, the principle when it comes to those set pieces is it's costing us at the moment. It's week in, week out that we're finding problems when it comes to a set piece in some shape or form, whether it's from our own set piece, which is ridiculous to concede from our own set piece, by the way, but defensively as well in the same breath as that.
Let's just play maybe devil's advocate from our perspective. I think I think what we're saying is right because it's my opinion, right? But the comment suggests that we're being too positive. This is disastrous, end of the world stuff, right? The comment: how many more defeats is Unai Emery allowed in a row? Do you know what I mean? Should we answer that? Do you want to answer that? When does Unai Emery become under pressure, Matt Lynch?
He doesn't. He's got a hall pass for me this season. Genuinely,
forever.
He's got a hall pass for this season, and it's ridiculous. This is even a question that people are talking about. This is the first time we've lost 4 games in a row under Unai Emery, and people are going mental, like we're in some sort of relegation battle. I mean, Man City have lost 4 in a row. Nobody's going around talking about Pep going. It's mentalist to be in this position. I mean, we've got an international break coming up now, which is perfect, by the way.
Yeah, I'm happy to
need it for many reasons. I mean, Dinya's gone off by all means doesn't look good. I mean, JJ's obviously gone off injured as well, and I still don't think something's wrong with Bailey either. It's a shame that Ollie's going away with England, but these players
as well, isn't he? He's not going with Belgium because he's got something as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's time now, which is what's needed. I mean, we've got a couple of weeks, and then we come back, and then there's a few games where you look at it and go, we've got a chance of turning over some results. I mean, Palace at home in a couple of weeks. Just trying to think as well what else is mixing there.
Brentford and Southampton.
Southampton, yeah. So there's some games here where you head into Christmas and suddenly you're in a different place altogether. I mean, there's genuinely no team in this league with any consistency at this moment in time outside of Liverpool and Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, we said
with any consistency, and it will come after Christmas. Push comes to shove after Christmas. At this moment in time, there's no cause for any concern, surely.
It's a couple of kind of bigger picture things here very quickly. John has said recently on the podcast, where you are now, it's not irrelevant, but things can change massively between November and May. You don't need to be 4th now to finish 4th at the end of the season. As long as you're within touch and distance of the European places come March, maybe, you can put a run together of winning a few games, especially if it's against people around you in those places as well. And all of a sudden you're up there 4th, 6th, whatever it is, come the end of the season. So even if we are 10th come tomorrow evening, fine, so be it. We haven't been brilliant, we know that. But ultimately, it's not going to mean anything right now. I think if Villa struggle to pick up any points at Brentford at home, Southampton at home, Palace at home, we then go into a period where we do play teams around us if they're still there. Forest away, Man City at home, Newcastle away, Brighton at home to end the year. Let's see where Villa are in January. And even then, you can still put a run together after that to finish where you finish at the end of the season. Obviously, if we keep losing games, that is a problem. But I don't think that'll be the case. I'd be surprised if we don't put some kind of run together after the international break. Not that we're just going to suddenly become brilliant in the next 2 weeks, but getting some players away from the niggles they've got would be a start. Finding what our best team is would be a start. Winning that game against Crystal Palace might kickstart a little bit of a kind of mini revival, if that's what you want to call it. But I'm just not. I don't want to say I'm not bothered because no defeat is good. Somebody in the comments before said something like, "Oh, is that what this podcast has become now? We're happy that we've not been embarrassed." No, but that's what everyone went into this game going. Villa 5-0, Liverpool 5-0. No, that's not happened. That has not happened. We were okay. I'm not saying we were good, brilliant, amazing. We were okay. We had some moments. Yeah.
I know there's other things to talk about in this, but what I would pose to you is that the people in the comments and people realise that we've not won a game at Anfield since a Bonglahor scored in a 1-0 win about best part of 10 years ago. It's not like we turn up at Anfield every year and turn them over.
It's Anfield. It's Anfield at the top of the league. They've beaten basically everybody.
But outside of that, we very rarely have a sniff against them, and that shouldn't be my approach to it, of course, because you should be going to these games thinking you can win. But Liverpool are 5 points clear at the top of the league at the moment, with arguably one of the best players in the world. Well, he is one of the best players in the world in Salah, being the difference maker today. Our difference maker in Bailey and Watkins were not at their best by any stretch of the imagination. And sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and go, okay, yeah, fine. But you know what? It's football in the day. There's bigger issues out there. And I think that there's bigger issues at play when it comes to the club at this moment in time than a few defeats on the bounce.
I mean, I actually felt like coming out of that game when Salah scored his second that, I actually thought like we might have gone and won the game from that position, but I felt disappointed that we'd lost 2-0 at Liverpool because I felt like, you know what, maybe we do kind of just sneak a goal here and it does finish 1-1. Marco says, Dan, you are all ifs and buts. If we don't beat Palace, then what? If we don't beat Palace, you're allowed an if, but I'm not. If we don't beat Palace, yeah, we'll discuss that if that comes to pass in a few weeks. But I do think we will beat Palace at home. I'd like to think we do anyway. And I do think we'll put a run together. It's just, we've said this before, when we've lost games, it all just becomes a little bit, not nasty, because I'm not suggesting people in the comments are being nasty to us, but it becomes tetchy on social media, online, and it's not how I want it to be. I don't like the kind of extreme, you swing one way or the other based off a couple of results. As we've said throughout, the optics don't look good. We've not played particularly well for most of the season. We could potentially be 10th come tomorrow evening. But it's just not a cause for the meltdown that I'm seeing. It really isn't. I think we have to take stock a little bit of where we are right at the moment. And it isn't brilliant. It doesn't look brilliant, but it might look a hell of a lot better come the 1st of January or the 1st of May. It's a long, long way to go. And I think we all just have to relax a little bit. Not to say that you're not entitled to your opinion. You absolutely are. But like the Emery out stuff, like, God, that's really throwing me off course because that's just so far off it. Just on Ramsey very quickly. Actually, David says this can be a wake-up call. Exactly, yeah, you use this as a moment to go, okay, right, let's not make it 5 defeats in a row. That's never happened under Unai Emery, obviously. Let's use this to say, okay, let's stop it here. We knew that. And how many people went into Liverpool, by the way, going, okay, we've lost 3 in a row. It's probably going to be 4. Well, it's come true, hasn't it then? We all expected it to be 4 anyway, so why are we shocked about it? Ramsey, very quickly. It's just such a shame, isn't it? Because I thought he was playing reasonably well, if I'm allowed to say that, in the first half. But again, injuries play a part for him. Different injuries as well. Sometimes it's an ankle, sometimes it's a hamstring, a calf, whatever. It's not like he's having the same thing keep coming back. He's having a few different injuries. Whenever he seems to be finding any kind of form or any kind of run in the team, all of a sudden he gets another injury and it's another period of, 4 to 6 games missed with a hamstring or whatever it may be. Hopefully it's obviously not as serious as that. But he has these moments where you think, oh, he's starting to show a bit of form. He's starting to get back ready. Another injury. And it's really difficult to see if he can't get over those, if this is just a thing that happens to Jacob Ramsey. Now he gets injured often. He is injury prone. It's difficult to see what his kind of long-term future looks like at Villa, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does hurt me when I saw him go off because he was looking good on. I think I said this at the start of this, but he nailed where Liverpool were playing on the transition. He was the thorn in that in terms of bringing us back into the game and carrying the ball. He was brilliant at that in those first 20 minutes, and obviously got injured and it didn't look good. I look back and he didn't have any injuries, no real problems with injuries until he went away to the England under-21s European Championships last summer, and since then it's been really hard going for him. It feels like we've rushed him back, to be honest, at the time, and then he came in during the run-in last season and in an intense time got injured again, and then obviously didn't come back at the start of the summer, and then he's obviously picked up a couple of niggles since then, so it feels like one top of the other. It doesn't look good, does it? And I'd love nothing more than to see JJ fully fit and be a huge part of this team, but you can't rely on him at this moment in time, which is a sad thing to say. I'm gutted to say that because you can't, because he's just not fit enough to. And what an amazing player to have potentially as an option off the bench. But I think when push comes to shove, and we've seen it in the press before, is he a PSR asset that it's too good to turn down, or whether we're in that position? I mean, we're all speculating here on this stuff, but it's the questions that run through your head when you see him go down with another injury, which is just horrendous to say, because when he's on top song, I mean, this time last year, I'd have thought he'd have been in the England senior squad, to be honest, by now. But injuries have had another say on that, and that's just the way it rolls sometimes. It's so unfortunate because his ball carrying ability, and I think that his end product is very good on his day, and it's just he's had no rhythm because he's got so many injuries.
And sadly, the way that football transfers work, it becomes less of a saleable asset if he's going to be injured all the time. Because for it to be worthwhile to Villa, and I'm not suggesting we're going to sell him. Obviously, Emery likes him. John said before we had an opportunity to possibly look at it in the summer, and Emery wanted to keep him. He was not up for sale at all. But for it to be worthwhile for Villa, he's got to be worth, I don't know, 40 or 50 million to pluck a number out of the air. No one's going to pay 40 or 50 million if he's constantly got an injury concern going on under the surface. So if it's a 20 million sale at that point, it probably doesn't become worth it for Villa anyway. So it's a really kind of useless situation all round, really. We need Ramsey to get over those injuries and either play well for Villa or be sold to help the club moving further forward. But, being injured all the time does nothing for nobody. We'll wrap up in a second. Actually, we'll wrap up now. I think we're done, aren't we? There's nothing else I want to go over, to be honest. The international break, that classic thing, has it come at a good time or not? It probably has, in terms of just having a reset for the club, for the players, for the staff, to take a look at where we are, to, I don't know, decide on different tweaks or whatever over the course of a couple of weeks. And a good break for all of us as well. It's been pretty intense over the last, couple of weeks of a couple of bad results in different competitions that I think we could all probably just do with a bit of a break, couldn't we?
Everyone needs to breathe. Just take 5. Go and step outside. I mean, perhaps don't step outside now, but everyone needs to breathe and reassess it in a few days' time and realise where we actually are.
I mean, maybe come the end of the season, we will be in the wrong. Maybe we do finish 12th and it's a really bad year and we look stupid now sat here in November. But as of right now, I think we have to assess where we are at least come January, when we've played everybody once. It's still just a long way to go. But I already know that the comments for this will be, you two are in denial, you two won't say how it is, you two stuck up Emery's arse to say that it's really bad and we're going to be in trouble. But that's just how I feel, and maybe that will change in the coming weeks and months. But for now, I'm much more encouraged after that game than I was on Wednesday night or the second half against Spurs. Like, that was, I'm not saying that was brilliant football, but it was better than what we saw literally a couple of days ago. So let's see where we are again in another 14, 21, 28 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, patience. Heed it.
Yeah, big sigh of relief. We'll end it there. Thank you, Matt, for joining me, and thank you for those who watched along live and left your comments, whether they're ones we agreed with or not. We still respect everybody for taking part and getting involved. I feel like a lot of them are not. Maybe they might even be Villa fans, and we're just wasting our time talking about them. We'll be back with some content during the international break. Matt Kendrick and I will do a Q&A at some point. We also have a video with Colin Abbott talking about Aston Villa's 150th year anniversary and some special little plans and tidbits around special shirts and different stuff as well. So that'll be out later in the week as well. Plus Matt Kendrick's Villa voice notes return at some point as well. So we're taking our foot off the gas a little bit through the international break to have a break as well. But there will still be content if you need your Villa fix as well. All right, everyone, we'll be back on Monday or Tuesday with another episode. Matt, thanks for joining me. Thank you for watching or listening, and we'll see you in a couple of days. Bye-bye.